The development of safe and effective vaccines less than a year after the emergence of this novel coronavirus is a stunning scientific achievement.
The vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, as well as the Pfizer vaccine, is about 94 to 95% efficacious in preventing clinical disease and almost 100% efficacious in preventing serious disease. So the data are rock solid.
Its findings that the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is safe and effective, and the FDA has given its full and final approval.
For absolute clarity, every vaccine approved in Canada by Health Canada is safe and effective.
Finally got news that I'm going to have my own jab, Mr. Speaker, very, very shortly. I'm pleased to discover I don't know whether the right honourable gentleman's had his. He's had his, but it will certainly be Oxford AstraZeneca that I will be having.
Det er vacciner, vacciner, vacciner.
Is the vaccine.
A part of widespread vaccine programs, no one is safe.
You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
The First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, has tested positive for COVID.
Her diagnosis comes just weeks after the president, her husband, contracted the virus twice within the span of just 10 days, what's known as a rebound case.
We know that Prince Charles tested positive for a second time, and that was along with the Duchess of Cornwall.
Belgium's Prince Joachim, a nephew of King Felipe, has tested positive for the new coronavirus.
Japan's Princess Yuriko, the oldest living member of the imperial family, tested positive for COVID-19 on July 13th.
After Prince Carl Philippe and his wife Princess Sophia tested positive to coronavirus.
Danish royal family is self-isolating after Prince Christian tested positive for COVID.
The King and Queen have tested positive for COVID-19 and are now undergoing self-quarantine at Istana Negara.
Norway's 85-year-old King Harald V tested positive for the coronavirus.
Princess Mary has tested positive for COVID just 9 days before Christmas.
And on Thursday, Prince Albert of Monaco announced that he has tested positive for the coronavirus.
The various shots that people are getting now cover that. You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
The Queen of Denmark has tested positive to COVID shortly after attending Queen Elizabeth's funeral in London. It's the second positive diagnosis for Queen Margrethe, who also contracted the virus in February, despite 3 vaccines for COVID.
Princess Yoko of Japan has developed pneumonia after testing positive for COVID-19.
This is Prince Andrew. We haven't seen him today. That is possibly because he has tested positive for COVID.
95% effectiveness.
2 doses of this vaccine is the greatest protection that you can have.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has revealed he's tested positive to COVID.
I've taken a test that has come out positive.
You deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19.
This would be the second time the Prime Minister has tested positive.
So I want to tell you today that thanks to vaccines, the end of this crisis is on the horizon. More than 8.5 million of you have already had a first injection. 3 million have already had 2 injections. And the vaccine is efficient.
Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the Queen has today tested positive for COVID-19.
The Swedish royals are among the latest victims of COVID-19. The Swedish royal courts confirmed that Gustaf of Sweden, King Carl XVI and his wife Queen Sylvia have tested positive for the coronavirus.
This map shows confirmed cases per million people over 2 weeks starting in March 2020. The darker the colour, the more infections. As you can see, Australia was looking good back then, but fast forward to a month ago and it's a different story. We are fast becoming one of the worst places in the world for new COVID cases.
Every child from 6 months older is going to be able to be covered now. We have sufficient quantities of the vaccine for every child in America, in every state in the union.
People were forced to be vaccinated with a medical product in order to exercise their basic fundamental rights, and they were told, and we were told, that if you get vaccinated, you will not be infected, and you will not spread the virus. They even ran campaign and said, get vaccinated in order to keep your grandmother and your parents healthy. And we find out now, after more than a year, that when they requested the special marketing authorization, they haven't tested the vaccine to see if it's stopping the spread of the virus.